So far, we have done different calculations, we have done different summarizations, and we've also worked with slicers and timeline. I want to create a fresh pivot table and let us work with dates. So I want to put my order date in rows. And you notice the moment I do this, all my dates are automatically grouped into month, quarters, and years. So in the row area, we have years, quarter, and the last one is the month. You can click on the plus sign to expand into the quarter and then the month. So let me put on my sales value as well. And if you put sales in value, we can see the total sales for every single year. And like we did earlier, on pivot table analyze, if we expand, then it will show us all the quarters and then subsequently all the months as well. Now imagine we want to look at only the year and the quarter. So we can simply remove the month from here and let's say keep the quarter in column, and now we can see all the 4 years and all the 4 quarters as well. Now sometimes what might happen is that especially when you're working with older Excel files or maybe a CSV file, you will notice that the dates appear like this. So while the format is correct, it is not automatically getting grouped into year, quarter, and month. To do that manually, you can simply right click on any one of these, select group, and then a dialog box opens up where you can decide how many levels of aggregation you want. Now, typically you would want to choose the month, quarter, and year. But if you have a data set which has a further level of granularity, maybe you have the day, hour, minute, and second, you can choose that too. Once we select month, quarter, and the year, and we press OK, you notice that the grouping happens on its own. Now, once we have done the grouping, and let's say we want to remove the year and the quarter, think about it. It is not showing us January only for 1 year, but it is showing us January for all the 4 years combined. But if you want to see the January amount for every year, one by one, we can either put the years in our column like this, or we can make a dynamic dashboard where we can insert a slicer and we can select our years. Now take a moment and think about it. How is years appearing in our slicer despite the fact that years is not a column in our original data set? Now it's very interesting. The moment you group something together, so when you have years and quarters and months with you, you have the ability to choose them independently in your slicers as well. So if I select my year and I press OK, you get a simple slicer like this. And if you notice, I can choose any one of these years. And obviously the table is corresponding to the slicer selection. Let us also see how we can group non-date fields. So again, we want to create a new pivot table. And this time I want to keep my subcategory in rows, and we want to keep the sales value in values. All right. Now imagine this, that the business wants you to sort the data, which you have already done, and they want you to identify the top three and put it in a bucket where phones, copiers, and chairs are called T3, and then you select all the others and you call it rest. So this way you can compare the top three versus the rest. To do this, we can simply select the first three items, phones, copiers, and chairs, right click, and then click on group. And now what's going to happen is that those three items that you selected will be grouped together. So if you notice, we have a group called group 1, which has phones, copiers, and chairs in it. Now to make this process a little easier, I want to do it the other way around. So I want to choose the other 14 subcategories and then group it And you notice we get a group called group 1. So we can call it rest. And then I can choose chairs, copiers, and phones, and then right click and group it. And we can call it, let's say, my top 3. Now I hope you understand where we're headed with this. Now when you create a chart, what will happen is that you can see all the 17 subcategories, but more importantly, you will notice that the 14 subcategories are in rest and these 3 subcategories are coming in top 3. So this is very handy when you want to present your data not just in a ascending or a descending order, but in a grouping of your choice. And you can create as many levels of grouping as you want. In case you want to remove this, you can simply right click on any one of these items and click on ungroup, and it goes back to the original level. In fact, I think I'll have to right click on rest and we click on ungroup, and we do the same thing with top 3 as well. Right click and ungroup, and you notice it comes back to the original layout.